Okay, so Jamaica won. Mexico, the United States won in a disappointing but um, not a disaster draw in Jamaica, but felt very much like the sort of game that we expected. Tack, how are you feeling?
Yeah, a little bit disappointed because I was hoping for us to put up a very strong performance like Mexico again. Obviously, the field didn't help. It was an away game. There's that fact,
No.
but there was also more problems in this game when compared to the last game. It seemed like last game Greg got the tactics near perfect to cancel out Mexico and make them struggle. I don't think he did the best job, and it wasn't bad, but it wasn't the best in this game adjusting. It could be a little bit also because it's kind of hard to prepare against Jamaica because you don't know their tactics.
Yeah, I
um,
think there's room for a lot. Like in this game, there's a lot of nuance. I think there's a lot of things that worked together. There were a lot of different factors that contributed to this draw, and we'll talk about it. But guys, how's everybody else feeling? If you're feeling super awful about this, don't, because it's not, in terms of results, yeah, it's not the result we wanted. It's also not the end of the world in terms of points. A loss would have been way worse, and to be fair, it could have been a loss. We got a little lucky at that header in the second half. But it just feels like we still have a lot of work to do. And there are a lot of issues that we still need to sort out. But we got 4 points out of 2 games. And I want to try and be quote unquote optimistic, even though I feel like we should be beating Jamaica even away, you know? It's currently halftime, by the way, at Mexico versus the United States, the under 20 game, everybody. I don't know what the score is at halftime. I haven't been watching it because I was too busy watching the senior team game. So, Tack, how are you doing?
Doing good overall because now we're just to summarize to a few people. Now we're 6 points away from Qatar, based on, like we said, the several simulations.
Yeah.
21's a safe bet, and that's the mark I'm going for. I want us to hit 21 points ASAP. Right,
Right.
more finish first, but ASAP, which means we have the obligation in the next camp to hit 21 points or more and be in Qatar. Next camp, we
Yeah.
need to get, there's 3 games. We should have a bare minimum of 7 points next camp, and then we're set for Qatar.
Yeah. Well, I guess 6 would do if we have 15 now, but we should be
Yes,
getting more than 6 points in these camps for
yes.
sure. Joey Klein, uninspiring performance from the subs. Triple G again. I think the subs were a lot more about going for the draw. I genuinely think that Greg made his subs with a draw in mind, not with a win. Hans, subs were off, but for once, I think players were more disappointing than Greg, though. Deflated, but result is fine. How you sub off Timothy Razor Skates way up. Yeah, I thought the subs patterns were very poor. We took out some players who shouldn't have been taken out, and we didn't take out players who maybe should have gone out. Ethan Gra. Does Pepe look slow or disinterested at times? Also, why do we sub the only 2 players who seem to want to advance the ball and be aggressive? Just to answer this quickly, Ethan, after the game against, I can't remember which game it was, but I said with Pepe, he's 18 years old, right? The kid is going to have variance of performance. And we have to understand that. I'm not going to hold these 2 performances. Yeah, he was not great. I wouldn't say he's disinterested. I say he's not in the greatest form right now. He's 18. There's going to be variance of performance. I wouldn't go after Pepe too hard, okay? We can't eat our own, if that makes sense. Result, not bad. Performance was. I can agree with that, Alex. That makes sense. Chris Casenza. Once again, Greg's lack of quality/impactful players off the bench probably cost us points. This is why roster spots 1 to 23 matters. Missed LDLT, Hoppy. I agree with you, Chris. And, after the Mexico game, some people were coming after my roster video and saying, oh, this aged terribly. And I mostly didn't respond to them. But it's like every single player on a roster counts because we have a good starting lineup, right? But when somebody in that starting lineup is having a bad day or things aren't working out, the way you want it to, you need to have quality solutions off the bench. And today, we really didn't have that many quality solutions off the bench. Frank Kassler, The performance was awful. Typical Berhalter. The roster selection is appalling and taking off Weah. My goodness, his decision making is terrible. What are your thoughts on this, Tack?
Yeah, I wouldn't have taken out Weah.
No.
He was trying. He was being dangerous, and I don't think he was gassed out. He didn't look like it. And we saw one thing too. Even if he was tired, that play where right after the goal, where Zach Steffen connects a nice long ball to Pariola, if it's Weah, they would have to have fouled him because he would have escaped with the ball, or Pulisic, right? Maybe
Right.
even Brendan. But
Yeah.
Ariola, they just took the ball from him as if they're taking it from a 12-year-old. It was really weird for me to see that.
Yeah. Yeah, for sure. Both fullbacks were awful. Why no Scally? Another Triple G failure with midfield selection. Still calling up Leggett, who played 0 minutes in 2 games. Disappointing. I'm surprised he didn't bring on Leggett. I thought for sure he would. But I don't think Leggett would have done well in a game like today, which was a very physical game. And we'll talk about in the takeaways, guys. We're going to talk about, because there was some positives, obviously, and a lot of issues to discuss. I don't think this game, although people can be mad at Berhalter, that's fine. I don't think this is 100% on Berhalter either, though.
No.
I think a lot of the players today, didn't perform to their usual level. And we'll talk about it. Some of it's tactical, some of it other reasons, and we'll get into it. But it's a nuanced discussion today about what happened, because I think it was a lot of different issues together that made it difficult for us. Matt Poliquin, what are our other options at left back? Because Jedi doesn't seem to be the answer. So again, I want to push back a little bit against overreactions. Jedi did not play well today. I'm with you on that. He's also been very good for us in the past. So I think sometimes recency bias can get in the way of reason. And I think we have to remember that. You can call out a bad performance, and we certainly will, but that doesn't mean they're not the answer or they need to be replaced necessarily. Okay? Tack, take this one.
Jedi was the weakest link tonight on skill alone. He was one of the worst performers. I agree 100%. Yeah. But no, I'm not. He's still our best left back.
He's still our best left back. And yeah,
do
we need to have a look at Jonathan Gomez and really get that recruitment train going? I believe so, because we need depth at that left back position, and we need competition.
And Scally has played as a left back several times for Mönchengladbach, and it's definitely an option as well. If Anthony Robinson is in a bad day, that's an option too. He definitely had one of his weaker performances today.
Yeah, he did. Han says, shout out fellow United / USMNT fans, pain gluttons. Are we just gluttons for punishment, or do we just love our team? Who knows? All right. Juan Montelongo, fire, starting 11, dog water subs, players unmotivated. If only we had a left-footed goat to come on. Breck Shea, when is the interview? Do you have an interview with Breck Shea?
No, I don't know how to reach out to him. If anyone can help, yeah, I would love to bring Breck Shea. I don't even want him for an interview. I think Breck Shea would be just like a hangout.
Yeah, you would want to have a drink with him, drink whiskey or something, and talk about life. And why he likes to pee in the lake behind his house, which apparently he admitted he likes to do. No, he did. I read it in an interview. Arnold says, let's give credit to Jamaica. They needed to either win or tie to stay alive. However, not the best U.S. performance. Freaking golazo by Antonio. Yeah, Jamaica did a good job of making our lives very difficult today. And let's be honest, they could have gotten a win. I think the referee actually screwed them with that goal, right? Off the corner. Because I know he had his hands on Walker, but I don't think it was a foul. I've seen a lot worse on many, many corners across the world that are never given. So I actually think we got a little lucky with that one. And this would have been way worse if we had lost, right? That's the thing. The margins are so fine. If this is a loss, we're freaking out. But the performance wouldn't have been any worse if it was a loss, if that makes sense.
Want to start with the negatives too?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I like to start with the positives.
You prefer? I wanted to go through, I don't know, your call. We're in 11.
Let's start with positives. That's usually what we do. I think the important thing to talk about first was that the starting lineup I thought was good. I thought we had a good, considering the players that we had in the roster, that was probably our best possible starting lineup, although you could maybe quibble would Joe Scally have done a better job than DeAndre Evans today? Maybe. I don't think we know that for sure, but certainly based on recent form, Joe Scally's crossing and chance creation is significantly better than DeAndre's. Although I don't think DeAndre was terrible today. I think he was like not the worst player.
I think he was himself.
Yeah.
I guess okay, there's not that many like big positives, right, to talk about, but I guess one positive is we still got 4 points in the camp. That is a positive because it is an away game against Jamaica, and we faced, for example, Mikel Antonio, which is a world-class center forward. And yes, we'll talk about how Tyler Adams is the one to blame in the goal. Mostly could have done a better job, should have done a better job, especially because he's our captain, one of our best players, and he should have done a better job on Mikel Antonio on the goal. Can't go unsaid. But overall, we got 4 points. We are not in a comfortable situation, but we're pretty good in regards to qualifying. We're going to see how the other games are going to play out. Hopefully Panama doesn't win.
We've definitely lost first place, right? Unless Canada and Mexico draw.
It could be a 0-0. It might be a 0-0.
So if they draw 0-0, we're still in first. But what if Panama wins? Oh yeah, we'd be 1 point ahead of Panama because we have So we could still be in first if they draw 0-0, which in all fairness, it could easily be that. I'm kind of with you on that, I'm going to say as a positive, we didn't see Leggett. I think that was a positive, that he could have easily brought on Leggett. He's one of his favorites, or at least has been in the past. So it's a positive that we didn't see it. And we didn't see Roldan in this camp either. For me, those two things are positives.
It's still a negative that they were even there.
I agree. But if I'm having to look for positives,
So a positive today, in my opinion, even though he was subbed off early, was Tim Weah. I didn't think he was bad. The goal was nice. He was dangerous on the wing, as always. Showed personality. I think Tim Weah was a positive today again.
Yeah, no, I agree. I thought Tim Weah was one of our strongest performances on both sides of the ball. And if he doesn't score that early goal, this could easily have been a loss. So kudos to him. And he created a lot of that goal himself, let's be honest. Chris Gary says 4 points out of 6, not bad. If someone told me 4 to 6 before camp, I'd gladly sign up. Bit of a let-off from the El Tri game, but we move on. Could be worse. Yeah, I agree. Averaging 2 points a game, need 1.5. Travis Hall, USMNT reminded me of taking my U15 team on away game and their reaction. We're playing here? What did Toy think of Aronson? I think you mean Tack.
Or Aronson today?
Yeah.
I didn't think he was too good today. It was more of like the good old hustle, Brendan, run, fight, but didn't provide much today, Brendan.
No, he didn't. Stephen Nagishi says, Zim Richards pairing wasn't good. Richards had to cover Zim on several occasions. Zim is great 1v1 and aerially, but other than that, he's average. Yeah, I think Zim lunged in a few too many times in midfield, and Richards was covering for him. I don't think it was a terrible pairing. I thought they were adequate on the day, except for Zim getting completely beat in the air for that goal that should have probably been a goal. I think we're going to have to knock him a little bit for that because that was not good enough. Was never high on Aronson. Hasn't played well. Again, the overreactions, guys. Look, Aronson is not an elite player. He may never be an elite Champions League, Pulisic, Reina type of guy. Did we score?
We tied with Mexico.
Oh, good.
Diego Luna.
Gutierrez. How come it's still 1-0 for me? How behind am I? Oh, is it Cowell with the assist?
I need to see it again here.
Yeah, Cowell with the assist.
Cowell.
That was terrible defending, too.
Dude, imagine if we beat Mexico again.
That would be funny. All right. Forecast in Edmonton for Canada-Mexico game. 18 degrees Fahrenheit at kickoff with 20 miles per hour winds, making it feel like 5 degrees with wind chill. Yeah, it's going to be a fun game up there. Let's dig into the issues from today, Tack, because there's a lot to talk about. You there?
Yeah, I'm just watching the game too. Go ahead.
Okay. I just want to start with something that I noticed tactically, and I said this on your channel, but in the build-out, we had this issue that we do so many times, and it's very disconnecting. I'm just going to talk about it here because this is the easiest way to explain it, is if these are your defenders, okay, let's say this is Chris Richards with the ball, so often in the build-out, our midfield three, Adams, Musa, and Busio, were in a straight line. Okay, they weren't playing with any depth. So what that did was it allowed Jamaica's midfielders to come and close off the space, making it very difficult for us to penetrate in midfield. And what they should have been doing was having Musa and Busio stay between Jamaica's two lines and being options for those through passes. And it also forces the Jamaican midfielders to make a decision. Do they go shimmy up on Adams or do they drop back, which then creates space for us? And it's a thing that I've seen in the past from other midfielders when we've played in the build out. And I think it's a Greg thing because I've seen it consistently enough now that it feels like something they've been told to do. And I thought that really hurt us in the build out because we weren't able to get through the thirds very smoothly. That was one of the issues for me today. And I said it at halftime, we have to be better. We didn't correct it in the second half. And I feel that we should have.
So we didn't see that against Mexico because our defensive line was way too high up the field. So we wouldn't get to that situation.
No, we didn't. Your turn. You go.
We're still on the positives?
No, we're on issues now, dude.
Issues. Well, that was one. Another issue is he still relied on Areola as an option to change the game, to get the win, right? It's 1-1. At that point, I mean, you should have kept Way in the game, right? But regardless, I would have just kept Aronson too. I don't think the thing is, what is Areola going to provide besides running? And we saw that every time Areola's on the ball, he's not good on the ball. You can't be a soccer player if you're not good on the ball.
No.
It might work sometimes in MLS, I guess, but every time we needed Areola to perform for the U.S. men's national team, anything that required him being on the ball, it hasn't been good. And it was the same thing today. Yes, limited minutes, so he wasn't horrible many times, but the very little times he was on the ball, it wasn't good.
Well, there was that moment where he was through on goal, but he stopped. Or where the ball came over and it was him, and he needs to take a forward touch and charge straight.
Verticality. Where's the verticality?
Exactly. But instead, he takes it back and takes it over to the sideline where he gets fouled. And we've lost the opportunity. It's moments like that with Areola. But Areola wasn't the big culprit today. It's just disappointing that he was the solution. The other issue for me is like what we talked about earlier, the same issue as before, where the roster matters. You can't just have a strong starting 11. Because when you need to have solutions off the bench, you need quality solutions. And we didn't have enough quality solutions today. Let's talk a little bit about Ricardo Pepi. He hasn't had the best camp, even though I know he got the assist on Weah today, and he did have some nice moments in both games. Generally speaking, not his strongest game. Why did we only bring one striker, right? We never saw DK maybe as for a game like this. I thought DK could have been very useful. Matthew Hoppe is a guy who loves physical games like this. He could have been very useful. Luca De La Torre, I hate to say it, but on both sides of the ball would have been a way better option in midfield than a guy like Acosta or Areola. So there are different issues that I think we have to admit that your roster matters when you're playing these games. You can't just have a good starting lineup, and it's frustrating to see.
Well, and just to add to that too, it's for against Mexico, most of our starting 11, if not all of them actually right now, everyone had a good game. Everyone.
Yeah.
So you didn't require the bench to come in and change the game. But today that players were struggling. Many weren't having good performances. And then you need to rely players off the bench. And you can't just think Pulisic is going to come in every time and score. You need to have more than one good option. And the only really good option we had was Pulisic to change. And I guess Scally could have been an option, but changing fullbacks, there's not what it wouldn't have changed the game.
Yeah,
essentially.
No, exactly.
And I agree with you. We talked about this before camp started. He brought Jesus Ferreira as the other option for the 9 position, but he doesn't play as a 9 for his club. He plays as a 10. And even also, Greg before, I think Greg used him as a winger in January, right?
No, in January, he used him as a center forward, but it was against El Salvador's C team that hadn't really played.
He played as a left winger, Pete, I think.
No. He played as a false 9 in January.
True, and then Olympic qualifying as well.
Yeah.
He could have brought Daryl DK possibly or Hoppe.
Yeah, especially in a game like this, right? In a game like this where you think, Ferreira going up against Jamaica's center backs, I mean, bless his heart, that's not his game. DK would have made a difference. Hoppe would have made a difference. And in terms of advancing the ball through midfield, there's a guy like De La Torre who I think could have been Of course, we'll never know for sure if he would have made a difference, but all the evidence from how he's playing in Holland suggests that he could have made a difference off the bench today at least.
One question: considering we don't create through the middle, most of our creation of goal opportunities come through the flanks, right?
Yeah.
Way a lot. Would you agree that maybe Jesus Ferreira is not the ideal option because you're going to create through the middle with the false nine? You need DK so you can cross in and you can crash the goal and try.
Yeah, I mean, look, I'm not a biggest fan of DK. I still think he has technical issues. But if you're talking about needing a goal against Jamaica, bringing in DK and getting crosses into the box is probably one of your best options if you don't have any midfield creators, which that's the other thing. And we're talking about issues. I just think the subs were poor. We took out the two guys who looked like they could actually create, Musa and Weah, in the 60th minute. And to be going for a draw in the 60th minute feels very dangerous and disingenuous to me because you're bringing on Acosta. I guess you brought on Pulisic, but you probably should have taken off Aronson. Or, you know what you could have done, because he admitted that Weah could play as a center forward, maybe take off Pepe, put Weah as a center forward, and then put Pulisic on the wing. You know what I mean? So at least you still feel like there's something different going on there. To take off Weah, who was the most dangerous attacker we had, and then to take off Musa for Acosta, it felt like, okay, we're going for a draw here, not for the win. And I think we should be going for wins away. I don't buy into the, win at home, draw away, that's good enough. That might have been good enough before. With the player pool that we have, that's not good enough anymore, in my opinion.
Also, it seemed like set pieces, right? If we're going to continue with issues, it's been an issue for a while, actually, and people pointed out, and Greg didn't want to respond when they commented about defending
set pieces.
Defending set pieces is Jamaica looked dangerous more than once in set pieces today, and they got a goal, which, if we're going to be fair, it was a legitimate goal. So at first, when I saw it, I thought he was pushing Zimmerman from one angle. When they switched the angle of the camera, it looked like a normal goal.
And it looked like a legitimate goal to me too.
Yeah,
I was like,
and we would have lost the game there.
And
so
we
again,
got let off. Let's be honest.
We didn't look dangerous on set pieces, and we didn't defend it to the best of our ability. So that has to be said.
No, we didn't. And while we're talking about set pieces, but this is attacking set pieces, Nolan Levine says we need better quality on set pieces. Lesser teams just foul us to break rhythm because they know we aren't dangerous on set pieces. So, Nolan, we are dangerous. I actually thought Gianluca Bussio's set pieces were pretty good today. That was one area where I thought he contributed well. And to be fair, Nolan, we have been dangerous on set pieces. We won a Nations League and a Gold Cup pretty much on set pieces, right? Mm-hmm. So I think defending set pieces is more our issue. Gio Reyna on the field and Pulisic on the field can put in set pieces. When we don't have them, that's when we struggle to get good delivery, in my opinion. SVC. Could it be the club asking not to play Scally? Greg seems to have faith on youth. I don't know. It's strange. No. Even if the club asks him, it's a FIFA World Cup qualifiers. You can do whatever you want. So, no. I don't think it's that. I think it's that Greg genuinely...
He wouldn't have gone. If it's 0 minutes, he wouldn't have gone.
Well, that's the thing. You brought him into camp. This feels like what should have been the last camp, where you brought him in to kind of integrate him with the roster. You know what I mean? Grealish beat Tyler Adams same way, cut back off L's shoulder. I have no idea what this means.
True. Manchester City, when they played Leipzig, it was closer to the goal. It was inside the box almost. Grealish also cut to the right, and Adams let him have the shot. So, yeah, that is true.
Yeah. Okay. Lucky to get out with a point. That's a positive. Should have been 3-1. Game went south quickly. Crappy field. Absolutely affected the game. Sluggish. Yeah, so I agree, Chad. And again, Filippo, when we talk about games like this, we have to set in mind the bar that we should set for this team. We have to keep that in mind when talking about games because that is the measuring stick that we use. For the player pool that we have, we should be winning the vast majority of our games, even away in CONCACAF. This drawing away in CONCACAF, honestly, it's like you take it at this point because 4 points is not terrible, but we can be better and we should be better. The other issue I want to talk... Oh, it's your turn. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Trying to remember. I think we mentioned most of the issues, unless you have another one.
I mean, I just thought that in the press today, we were a little sluggish, and I think that this is what I said. I didn't want us to get too high after Mexico and then approaching this game with any kind of entitlement or sense of like, of course, we'll beat Jamaica. And I thought that I don't think it was tiredness because they had 4 days rest. Because it was even in the first half, I thought we were poor in the press. We were just a step slow, just a step slower to second balls. We were out-muscled 1v1 in some of our duels, little brothered too many times. And part of that is, we missed Weston. And part of that is I just felt the intensity level on the day could have been better. And I don't want to put that on Greg. I think that's on the players. You have to go down with the same level of intensity that you showed against El Tree. And I think everybody on that field needs to take responsibility for the lack of intensity today. Just generally speaking too, dude, oftentimes when our center backs would have possession of the ball, there was not enough movement. Even in midfield, there was too much ball watching when we were in possession, not enough movement to show support for the ball, to get open to receive a pass. I didn't see that. And that it was, I guess sluggish is probably the best word to describe it for me.
Slonina just made a big mistake. Mexico scored.
Did he?
Yeah. It looked like it was him. I need to see the replay here, but he came off very poorly on a cross. I think it was Flores. Was it Flores that?
Yeah, Flores put the cross in.
Jalen
Neal didn't track his man. I don't know if Gab Slonina could have come for that. He tried, but he missed. But was it out of his reach?
It was in his box. Let me see. Yeah, we need to see the replay here.
Got to see it on the replay.
The coverage is terrible for today.
But dude, this whole tournament is such a joke to me. The way we've prepared for this tournament and the way we've sent these players out with minimal preparation time.
It's not that just because I know Pete didn't mean this. It's not that the tournament is a joke. The USSF took it as a joke, and we're not for that.
Yeah, no, I mean the way that we've presented in this tournament.
Slonina could have got that. He even touched it.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, he even touched it. He jumped a little slow.
That's frustrating.
Yeah, he could have got that. Jumped a little late, touched it.
So slightly disappointed, but the first time we got the minimum points acceptable in window of 4. Yeah, I think that's fair. I think I said before this that the minimum we should get in this window is 4 points. And we did get that minimum. It just feels like we could have gotten 6. You know what I mean? But you're right. This is the first time in 3 windows that we got the minimum acceptable points. What's an issue for me, Tack, is now the margin for error is slimmer than ever. If Panama wins tonight, and it actually doesn't matter what happens with Mexico and Canada. If Panama wins tonight, we are 1 point ahead of 4th, if you think about it. And that is worrying because that means, and we still have to go to Canada away and Mexico away. So it just means our margin for error is very slim.
And Costa Rica away. I know they're done, but it's a much tougher game than playing them the way we played at home.
Yeah. But this is something that we should definitely be talking about. It really depends. Panama game is almost more important now than Mexico game, Mexico-Canada, because the top 3 is now 4 teams fighting for that top 3. And if we get 4th, that is really bad.
It's almost like a knockout round against Panama January.
Yeah, in January. It's very important to get that right, but our margin for error is slim and we cannot afford to slip up. Today should have been a day to put some breathing room between us and the rest of the pack, but we didn't do it. So hopefully, who are they playing? They're playing El Salvador at home, right?
Mm-hmm.
Hopefully El Salvador can at least get a point off of them to give us a little breathing room.
Panama should win, but let's hope they don't get the win today.
Yeah, because that would not be good for us and for the margin for error. For all of you guys asking in the chat, the Revelations Cup is available on TUDN. If you have Fubo TV, if you've been watching this game on Fubo TV, it should be there already. So, any other things that you want to talk about as an issue from this game?
I think we pointed out most of them, and obviously when we talk about the player ratings, we'll go more into specifics of each players.
Yes.
But the broad spectrum of it, I think that is most, because at the same time, it was disappointing, the result. This was our best camp. That's what I would say.
Yeah,
this was our best camp.
Our best camp. The bar is fairly low if you look at our last 2 camps, though.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah. John Johnson, this is why the Panama loss was so big. A 6-point swing between winning and losing. If Panama wins tonight, they are right back in it for top 3. Exactly. And this is why, we give Greg credit for the Mexico game, and he deserves it. But that doesn't nullify the Panama game that we had, last month, because that puts us still in a very tough position. And again, today, the result keeps us in a very tough position, a position where we have almost no margin for error at all. John Johnston, this is why, okay, yeah, we already read this, but I agree with you, John. Thomas Davison, I disagree about your guys' view that our fullbacks weren't the problem in this game. Triple G wants flank play. Scally could have contributed. No, we don't. Definitely the fullbacks were a problem. I don't think we disagree with you there. What we're saying is when you're trying to change something, usually fullback isn't the place you go because they can contribute to an attack, definitely. But it isn't a natural, like, oh, we need a goal, so therefore we should switch out our fullbacks, right? It can help, certainly, but it's not your first go-to. But Thomas, I do agree that Scally could have contributed. If you look at his crossing in the Bundesliga, it's significantly better than anything we've seen from Yedlin, at least in these last two games, at least. What do you think, Tak?
Well, I actually agree with him that the fullbacks were a problem. Anthony Robinson was even one of our worst performances today.
Probably, yeah.
One of them, right? We're going to go into that. I need to remember as well. But the thing is, just see it this way. It's what Pete said. Usually the fullback's not what is the game changer. Usually fullbacks play the full 90 minutes for a reason, right? Usually when you want to change a game, you don't change the fullbacks or the center backs. Usually going through the midfield, center forward, or the flanks there in the wings. Now, could have Scally contributed more? Yes. We'll never know the answer to that.
We won't know, right? But
Most
the evidence
likely.
that we have, again, it's
Most
like
likely.
we don't know because it didn't happen. So we can't say 100% for sure. But based on the evidence that we have of his play in the Bundesliga, it seems reasonable to suggest that he could have contributed today. Same for Luca De La Torre. Same for Daryl Dike. Same for Matthew Hoppe. And Matthew Hoppe might not have recent game time for Mallorca, and I understand that argument of like, well, he's not playing for Mallorca, therefore, why do you think he contribute? Because when he played so well for us in the Gold Cup, he hadn't played for Schalke for almost 2 months. I think it was something like 6-7 weeks, and he still managed to contribute very effectively.
Oh, he's not playing for Mallorca, not because of a fault of his own. It's more because of his agent.
Yeah.
It's not really
Mallorca never wanted him from the beginning, but that's a whole nother issue that we can discuss another time. My point, especially in a game like today where Matthew Hoppe is always up for a brawl, and he's also tall. He's 6 feet tall. He's 6'3", right? So he's a guy who could go up against. Now, if you had DK and Hoppe up top, like if you brought in DK and Hoppe for Aronson and Pepe, in my mind, okay, that's us going for a win. And I think we could have done that in order to secure some breathing room. But we didn't do that. We played it safe. We went for the draw. And God, we were a referee decision away from getting a loss today. Josh Herrera says, didn't get to watch. From your description of subs, it sounds like Triple G was focusing on D and activeness toward the end. Yeah, Josh, it was very much a case of like it. I mean, maybe I'm wrong. Maybe Triple G's instructions to Areola is go get us a goal, go get us an assist. But when you bring on Areola and Acosta for Musa and Weah, then, or Aronson rather, because he brought Areola on for Aronson, it feels like the instructions are let's secure this tie and get out of here. And I can certainly see arguments for that. There will be people who will defend that and say Greg was smart to go for the tie. I don't think a tie is good enough in terms of giving us some breathing room here. So, yeah, I can't say I agree with that decision.
I'm trying to understand why there's so many Jamaicans account or even like coming here to say Jamaica was robbed. We're not CONCACAF. We can't do anything about it.
Well, they're just sharing their point of view, and I actually agree with them.
We agree, but it's just it wasn't the United States that robbed them. That's like almost like the accusation that many were trying to make. It's the ref made a mistake. That's it. And we agree with all of you that it was a mistake. We agree that was a legitimate goal.
Loss,
yes, sure. we all agree with that.
Jab dab. Pepe started first game with 0 caps. Why can't Scally? That's a fair point. That's absolutely a fair point. Yeah, I agree.
But Pete, before you go to the next one there, can we just add one thing as well? The same way we're going to call out that was a legitimate goal. I believe it was Damian Lowe in the first half, or Brown, the right back, should have got a red card. So
yeah.
So if we're going to go into specifics of mistakes, you guys, Jamaica should have had a red card in the first half, and playing man down, that's a different game.
Yeah.
And I think we were up 1-0 at the time as well. I
Yes.
think.
Yeah. That would have been a very different game, 100%. Look, we also got robbed against Mexico. I mean, what's his name? Should have been sent off, Chaka Rodriguez, right?
Well,
So
and Hector
sometimes
hit every game too.
Hector Herrera should have been sent off every game. So sometimes the decisions go against you. And in this case today, I feel like that decision was huge for us because a loss today would have been really bad. So we kind of got a little lucky sneaking that decision out. But sometimes it goes for you, sometimes it goes against you. Drew Watson with a good point here. I was much more disappointed with this performance than y'all seem to be. Why did we stop passing around them after the goal? Bad first touches and passes. I mean, just poor. So, Drew, it's not that I'm disappointed with the result too. But what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to construct why. That's what you asked, right? Why did we stop passing around them after the goal? I don't think it's that we stopped trying to pass them around them. I think what happened was, A, our intensity in the press gave them too much time and space to play around us. B, when we got the ball and tried to start passing it around, the field conditions were not something that we dealt with very well. And I don't want to use that as an excuse, but how many times, Tack, did you see the ball bobbling up when we're making a simple pass? Like, that's not okay. But it happens when those fields are really terrible. Did we adapt to that very well? No, I don't think so. I think when you're in bad field conditions, you have to understand this pass is not going to, get there as quickly as I would like. So you have to play it a little safer with that pass, right? Maybe you can't take as many risky passes. There are reasons. They're not excuses for sure, but I'm trying to understand why. And I think sluggishness and a lack of intensity and maybe a little bit of resting on our laurels from the Mexico game all played a part. But on top of that, I think when a player has a bad day, you need to have quality solutions off the bench to be able to take their place and to change the game. And I think we left a lot of our quality solutions at home. Is that like a fair assessment, Tech?
Yeah, look, none of it is excuses. That we're not here to make excuses for the team because
No.
the thing is, one thing we need to say, as we always said, the draw away with Jamaica would have never been a horrendous result, but it's definitely not a good result. It's
No.
not a good result. But what we're trying to do here right now is trying to digest all of this. And the first thing we can talk about reacting right after the game is this was our best camp so far. And this says a lot from the other camps because, as Pete said, the bar was very low. We had a very bad September camp, and we had a roller coaster ride on the October camp of one of our worst performances that I've ever seen against Panama, and then the rest was okay. But essentially in this camp, this is the first camp that we didn't ruin our points, right? 4 points wasn't a disaster because one game was Mexico and we got the win.
Yeah.
And we played well. And the other game was Jamaica away. And Jamaica does have their issues and everything, but they do have quality players there. Leon Bailey's a quality player. Mikel Antonio punished us on the one moment we gave him space in the game.
Yeah.
So the thing is just not to overreact. This wasn't a disaster, but it wasn't good.
We're definitely with anybody who says this is not good enough, right? We're with you. But we also don't want to be disaster artists and be like, the sky is falling, because it's not. We managed to get 4 points. We did just beat El Tree. Let's keep that in mind. There has to be nuance in today's game because there's room for a lot of different factors that contributed to this result and this performance, and we're trying to identify all of those factors.
Lots of mixed feelings with this game today, right?
Yeah, mixed feelings for sure. San Fran says poor roster construction plus awful second half. Yeah, I mean even the first half. I think we were not great in the first half either. I think we were better, but once that second half started and we pulled off Weah and Musa, I think that really affected our ability to create. I really do. I think that made it very difficult. Our best chance creation came from Christian Pulisic winning free kicks. I actually tweeted at Taylor Twellman. I was asking him what he thought about Christian Pulisic dribbling and getting fouled to win us set piece opportunity.
Did he answer?
Not as of right now, but I'm not on Twitter. He may have. Thank you, Seth. I appreciate it. Could have been worse. Still have to get better performances in before the games in Costa Rica, Mexico, and Canada. Yeah, and this is the problem. There's no margin for error now, guys. Well, let's wait and see what Panama does. Panama wins. there's no margin for error because everybody's going to be within like 2 points of each other in the top four. And
Pete,
that's nuts.
what I want to add too is this. It's also a lot of the, like any criticism we do today, it wasn't really, there's not much to criticize in regards to the game itself. There's issues that we can point out, like you have already, we pointed out. But a lot of the main issue we had today was in regards to the roster construction.
Yeah.
When you look at the bench, and obviously Pulisic was a great option, but you look at the bench and you have Areola, Leggett, Acosta, Roldan, those are the main options you have. That was the problem. There wasn't game-changing players off the bench. And as much as people are going to say Scally can come in and, yeah, Scally might have been an upgrade. That's not a game-changing substitution, right?
No,
That wouldn't.
not really.
So it goes back to the roster construction, the problems. And the game itself, the subs, I don't think were good as well. That's something Greg lacked today. But like the other games where, honestly, a lot of the blame was on Greg, it wasn't all on him today. And the
No,
lineup, there's not that many complaints in regards to the lineup, to be fair, from what we had
no,
in the
he got the
roster.
lineup right. He didn't get his subs right, and the game management was poor. But you can give him credit for what he deserves credit for, and still criticize him for what he should get criticized for. I think that's what we try to do.
Maybe we should have pressed like we did against Mexico, because Jamaica's also not good playing out of the back, but we were much deeper our back line. I would like someone to ask Greg why he chose to do differently.
Yeah,
Um,
no, that's fair. I'm surprised that we didn't press either. And I don't know if that was just pure sluggishness. Were they told to press and they just didn't? Or did Greg purposely set our line of confrontation in more of a mid block rather than a high press? It's hard to know. It's hard to know.
I would love for someone in the media to ask him why did he change that, because I think it was him, because we did the same thing in the second half. Otherwise, we would have shifted. Greg would have asked the players. That's a good question to ask Greg why he did it.
Yeah. Or if he did it. Maybe he didn't do it. Maybe he said we want to press with the same, and the players just didn't execute. It could be that. We don't know. Unknown says disappointed but not mad. Could have been worse. I think that's probably how we all feel. I think we would all feel. Here's the thing. Would we all feel very differently right now if the referee had allowed that goal?
The lot, yeah.
Right? Because now you're walking out of there with a loss, and then 3 points is not acceptable for a window like this, right? So if that one gets allowed, are we feeling very different? But does it change our performance at all? And this is why results, yes, but performance is also a huge indicator of result, because or future results. Because if you perform like you did against Jamaica away in our 3 away qualifiers that we have next year, actually it's 4 away qualifiers, isn't it? We have Panama away. We have Costa Rica away.
Let me confirm that for you.
No, we have Panama at home. I'm sorry. We have Costa Rica away. We have Mexico away. We have Canada away.
I'll read it here for you. And everyone, if you want to take out a pen and write this down, we play El Salvador at home, January 27th. We play Canada away, January 30th. We play Honduras at home, February 2nd. Then we play Mexico, March 24th. And that will be at Azteca, most likely.
Yeah.
And then we play Panama at home March 27th. And then we play Costa Rica away March 30th. Hopefully we get to the Mexico camp. Honestly, next camp, we need to find a way to win both games at home. There's no excuses. And at least, to a bare minimum, draw with Canada.
Yeah.
7 points.
We need 7 points from the next window, at least. At least. It's hard not playing home, Areola. Hate that BS. Did Areola say that? Did they interview him after the game? That'd be weird to interview the 15-minute sub who didn't do anything.
I mean, he's the only one that probably was not out of breath. I don't know.
But we need to stop with the excuse. Yeah, of course it's hard. But everybody in CONCACAF has to do it. Everybody has to go play away. So, I mean, I don't buy it either. Why not play in a 4-2-3-1 instead? 2 6s away. Hey, we've talked about this before, Martel. We think a 4-2-3-1 would be great for this team. But Greg doesn't appear to like to use it for whatever reason. You could put Musa and Adams as double 6s, and then you have 3 guys in attack. Greg Busby, thoughts on Busio today? Greg, we'll talk about each of the players individually when we do the player ratings at the end of the stream. And by the way, guys, we're going to be here a little bit longer than usual just because we have, we want to go to the end of this game, and you're just going to hang out a little bit longer than we normally do. So feel free to hang with us. If you're watching the USA-Mexico game, it's currently the 81st minute. We are 2-1 down to Mexico. So we're probably, unless we can find a draw, we're going to get 1 point out of 9 in this tournament. So definitely not a great start for us.
It's all just a reflection of what USSF did to these kids. That's what it is.
Yeah. Francois Yves de Gaulle. I think that's how you pronounce it. De Gaulle? De Gaulle. From a U.S. view, do we want Mex or Can to win? What do you think, Tag?
A draw.
Yeah, I think we want a draw. A scoreless draw, and we're still top of the table. So think about this. Right now, Canada's 1 point was 1 point behind us before today, right? And we had equal points with Mexico, correct?
Mm-hmm.
So if we win, if they draw, Mexico will have equal points with us again, right? And Canada will be 2 points behind us.
Canada will be whatever it will just remain the same as it was before. Canada will be 1 point behind us. So Mexico will be the same. Canada 1 point. Now, if Panama wins, it'll be Canada and Panama 1 point.
Yeah.
Now, so if Panama loses today,
then we get a little more breathing room. You're talking about 4 points between us and fourth.
Yes, and that means if we get 7 points next camp, we go to the final camp either qualified or very, very close.
Very close, yeah.
But again, remember, next camp, the 2 home games, El Salvador and Honduras at home, there's absolutely no result besides a win right there.
And a convincing one. We have to get those wins and at least get a draw in Canada. We cannot lose in Canada.
Okay? And one thing to say, Pete, usually in long tournaments, point system, goal differential doesn't matter too much because usually there's gaps in points. But for this qualifier, goal differential could matter at 1 point. So, yes, as many goals as we can score, it might pay off down the line. We've seen this. We're leading with Mexico because of the goal differential. Who knows? Yeah. Could get a tie with Panama. We need to score and have convincing wins at home right there.
Yeah, agreed. Manav Shah, do you think it's possible that Jamaica is just a better team than Mexico? No. Jamaica's a wild team, right? They're all over the place. They could go to their next game at home and get thrashed 5-0. Like, you just don't know what you're going to get from Jamaica. They're extremely unpredictable. William Specht Casper, where is the negativity? Here is some money that is definitely not from Rocco. Thanks for what you both do. Thank you, William. We appreciate it very much. And we appreciate it from all of you guys with the super chats. And even just being here and hanging out with us. We really appreciate that.
Guys, and again, there's no negativity for the sake of it. If you have to be negative, you're negative. Today, there's things to be negative. There's things to be positive. I'm just feeling a lot of mixed feelings in this game.
Yeah, I think a lot of people are. Reading the chats and reading people's comments, we all feel like we could have done a lot better with this game, right? But at the same time, the sky is not falling. It's somewhere between those two. And it's probably on a spectrum. And maybe tomorrow or the day after, usually you get some distance from a game. You maybe feel a little bit differently. But at best, this kept us in a minimum points. At worst, we're still with very little margin for error.
What is really bothering me right now is not even this camp. It's still the Panama game. Because not even a win. If we had a draw right now, you go back to the table. If we had a draw, we would have an extra point, so 16, and Panama would take out 2. They would have 9. We would be 7 points ahead of Panama. And then even if they win, it would have been still 4 points, even if they win today.
Yeah.
That is what's still bugging us. It's that Panama game.
That Panama game where he played all his favorite boys, and we played the worst game the U.S. has played probably in living memory, in my opinion. From a competitive standpoint. We even played against Trinidad and Tobago better than that. Mike Irish, this has been a great congestion of games going back to May. Heading to the off season, want to thank you two for being there all the way. Well, thank you, Mike. Thank you. We appreciate it. And thanks for hanging with us. We are going to be here in December too. Don't worry. We'll be back for the Bosnia game. We're going to be doing the same thing. So we're still here.
MLS playoffs. MLS playoffs.
MLS playoffs. We're going to be covering that. MLS Cup. There's still plenty of live European games. We'll probably try to do more watch-alongs. Thank you, Daniel Hernandez. Really appreciate it. Playing Canada is going to be brutal. Yeah, I'm curious where they play that. Are they going to play it in Vancouver? Are they going to play it in Toronto? Are they going to play it somewhere in, like Alberta, Edmonton, like they do now?
No, hopefully not Edmonton.
Hopefully not, because in January it's going to be even worse than it is now.
And not just the grass, the field looked terrible last match.
Yeah, dude. Are you going to be watching the Panama game? Or are you going to be watching Mexico, Canada?
I want to watch Mexico and Canada, but the way it's going to be sloppy, I might go cheer against Panama.
Yeah, that game worries me more than Mexico, Canada. Playing Canada is going to be brutal. Yeah, I'm with you. All right, a few more super chats. Thank you, Dirty Vibes. Dirty Vibes. Thank you, guys. We appreciate it. A lot to absorb, a lot to digest. I think if you want a breakdown of the game on Patreon tomorrow, I'm going to do the tactical breakdown where we're actually going to go, play by play, and I'll show you clips of what I thought we did poorly, what we did well, what we could have done better, where we messed up, et cetera, et cetera. As a fan, it was fitting. I was sitting at my work computer watching the game at 4 p.m. Feel like I was halfway there, just like the U.S. players. Yeah. Felt like we're still struggle with our mentality in away games. That's what this feels like to me. When we go away, mentality, not so great.
Can I talk about that for a second too? This is one thing that bothers me a lot because they used to have this back in South America, and the problem with it was the following. They would tell players so much about the altitude before they would play in the altitudes, like the altitude in Bolivia, it screws you over, you're screwed, be careful with it. That there were players that reporters and people I knew from the team reported players before they got to La Paz in Bolivia. They were already claiming they couldn't breathe. It's like, dude, we're not even there yet.
Yeah.
So sometimes it's a mind. People keep repeating so much that CONCACAF's hard. The players start to believe it. And to be fair, it's always harder to play away than it is at home. Doesn't matter where it is. It's always harder to play away than home.
But and it is always harder to play on a bumpy field than on a pristine one. That is all true.
But we need to get over that. And okay, it's hard to play away, but it's hard for the other team as well. And we are the better team, and we should come here to win. That we need to stop using that as an excuse. Once the players know they can't use that as an excuse, we'll see a different attitude in the game.
Well, it's like if Paul Arriola literally said that right after the game. Oh, it's always hard playing away from home. That's what they're all thinking about. This is going to be so hard. This is going to be so hard. This is going to be so hard. It's like, no. Tyler Frozen with an interesting question. If Weah is a nailed-in starter, who does Reina replace in midfield? Can he play as an 8? In our dual 8 system, he can absolutely play there. He plays as an 8 for Dortmund, okay, or he did before he got injured. So he can absolutely play there. Right now, depends on the opponent. I would probably bench Musa as much as I love Musa, but it's probably also who's in form. If Weston's not in form, maybe you bench Weston. Or maybe you bench Weah. There's different permutations that I would be fine with. I would be fine with benching Gio once in a while. My point is, I think that Gio offers something that we do not have, and that is line-breaking passes from midfield. We don't have that in this roster. Musa and Weston can do it occasionally, but it's not really their game. And Gio Reyna can defend too. So,
adding to what you said too, Pete, look, guys, and I know that saying where a player plays is lazy analyzing, and it shouldn't be the only criteria, but Yunus Musa is a backup player for Valencia. And yes, I forgot his name. Central midfielder for Valencia does play for the Spanish national team. I think he's a backup, but he's a bench player in Valencia and struggles to get minutes and sometimes plays wide. Giovanni Reina is a starter for Borussia Dortmund, and he plays as an 8 for them when he's healthy. Now he's injured. That says a lot, okay? That does say a lot. And he can play as an 8. And our best midfield, if we don't care about who we're playing, our best midfield, if it's going to be 3 guys, the triangle in the midfield, it's going to be Adams, McKennie, and Reina. And you have a destroyer, you have a box-to-box, and you have a creator. That's what you want.
Yes. And again, guys, we get upset about the idea of quality players being on the bench. But today showed more than ever that you need quality on your bench. Go look at France's bench. How many world-class players are sitting on France's bench that we would be outraged if they weren't starting? Part of becoming a top soccer power in the world means we're going to have good quality players that could start for anybody else in CONCACAF and be a key player for them sitting on our bench, and that is okay. And we have to get used to that, and we have to get comfortable with that. Having Gio Reyna on this roster might push Sebastian Lletget further out, okay, because it might bench Yunus Musa. Or if Greg Berhalter insists on playing Reyna wide, who's he going to push out? Probably Paul Arriola. We also want Conrad to continue to improve.
What we do know is we don't need Lletget even on the bench.
No, we don't. Or Roldan, or frankly, Arriola. We don't. Acosta, I can see arguments for as Adams' backup. Akshay Singh says, we need better mentality. Mentality goes a long way. I agree. I don't think we had the right mentality today. I thought we were just a step off from a mental perspective. I do. Jacob Almquist, so sloppy. The roster was obviously an issue, but we couldn't connect passes to build up momentum. The first time that we did, we scored. Yes, I agree. Seemed like Antonio's goal changed the entire trajectory of the game out of nowhere. Yeah, Mitch, and that, again, is a mentality thing, right? This is what I was worried, that when that goal went in, we would drop our heads and go, oh, man, this is going to be hard, instead of keeping the mentality strong. And, again, that's at least 80% of that or 75% of that is on the players themselves, because they're all professionals. They all play at elite levels. They all know about mentality, and they have, like, in those moments, you have to recognize the self-talk that's happening, and you have to push back against it, right? It's like when you're like, oh, man, we conceded. Now we have to get another goal. The field is, you have to recognize that in that moment, and you have to be like, no, we have the quality to win this. We're going to push through, and then that changes how you play. It changes the decisions that you make on the field. It changes the in-flow, moment-by-moment decisions and executions that you complete throughout a game. So mentality is huge.
Well, also, like we talked about, if Poriola comes out of the game and the first thing he says that was the problem we lost was because these away games are tough, that there's a lot of other issues. When you finish a game, there's many issues why you did or you didn't get the result, right? And as a player right there, it's hard for him to know exactly the problems that were. They need to talk it. Even for Greg, right? Greg needs to talk it out with the team, reanalyze the game. But that excuse is already in their head.
Yeah.
It's away is already there. So it's almost as if, hey, guys, if we don't get the result, it was because it was away. No. We are going to get the result. Let's go and get the result. Yes. And if we don't get the result, it's not because it was away. Let's figure out the problems we had. That should never be the excuse.
Yeah, for sure. Hey, guys, great show. Let's stop saying the field was horrible in Jamaica. It was actually the first time Jamaica had a good pitch. I don't know what to tell you, man. From what I saw, it was a bad field.
Maybe it was better than before.
It might have been better than before, but that's not good. So I appreciate it, but I can't change what I saw just because it's like, if you're not happy. I'm guessing you're Jamaican. Josh Herrera says, all this mentality talk. Wish Hoppy was there. McKennie/Bulldog mindset. He's not letting a player punk him. Yeah, I think we missed McKennie today. I really do. I think McKennie would have been a huge difference in midfield. Unfortunately, that happens. Players get suspended, and you need better solutions than the ones that we had. All right, stable genius, and then we're going to do lineups. The fields in CONCACAF are garbage. By the way, guys, the USA-Mexico game just ended, and Mexico won 2-1. We collected 1 point. 1 point out of 9 in this tournament. So we can maybe talk about that in a different video. Mm-hmm. The fields in CONCACAF are garbage, which hurts skillful play. Can't play pretty when the ball dies/skips out. GGG should have had DK for Route 1. Well, Stable Genius, it's true that it hurts play, but it's not true that it's impossible to play well when the field is bad. You can still play well. You can still overcome, a bumpy field. It happens all the time. Players do it everywhere. So I don't want to use that as an excuse too much. It definitely affected us. We could still play that way. That being said, I agree. Having something different on the field. And I said this in my roster video, right? That this roster, you needed quality off the bench. You can't just rely on a good starting lineup. You need guys who can come in and be solutions and change the game. And unfortunately, we just didn't have that quality today.
Pete, it's still better to be a skilled player in a crappy field than a bad player in a crappy, like Poriola, yes. That's less technical than Pulisic or Weah. You saw when he came in, it didn't play a different. It's not going to help you to not have skill. It's just that a crappy field will make it a little bit harder for you to
play. For the guys who do have skill. I mean, look at Tim Weah.
Yeah, but if you don't have skill, even if the field is bad, it also affects you. It makes it harder for you to play as well.
Yes. And that's the other thing that sometimes people say, oh, you need your, your MLS CONCACAF guys to come in for a game like this because they're used to a crappy fee. No, by the way, Greg's comments yesterday about how, you have an advantage if you know the stadium is just not true across the
Can we
board.
just clear it up for a few people in that comment, like overall, because it was
So Greg was asked. Yeah, go ahead. You go ahead.
Yeah. So yes, his answer was was terrible just from the get go. But just so we defend Greg a little bit on this one here, the reporter said that there was an advantage for playing abroad because you're facing tougher competition, which Greg kind of like nodded, agreeing. And then the reporter said, "What would be some advantages of playing in MLS?" So it's not that Greg was saying there was an advantage in MLS. The reporter asked him what he thought. So he went towards it, and then one of them was the most ridiculous one, which was they know the stadiums.
Yes. All Greg had to say in that moment was, well, look, for us, it's more about, and he did say this at the very end, he said, for us, it's more about what they can contribute to the team. But to go on a soliloquy of they know the players, okay, or they know, the stadiums, it just doesn't impact. It really doesn't impact.
Well, the stadiums look like European stadiums anyway, the MLS stadiums.
Well, also, like MLS guys don't go to Jamaica. They don't play away in Jamaica.
No.
So what familiarity do they have with the home? If you're talking about the home stadiums, most of these guys have played in those stadiums many times. So everybody.
I also want to point out one thing too. One thing he said, I agreed, but he doesn't follow that rule. He said that some of the MLS guys, they play every week. They're playing every week, so that helps. And I agree, playing every week helps. But if that is the case, why isn't Skyly playing? Why wasn't Skyly over Cannon? Because Cannon's not playing. There's many players that we can use that argument.
Luca De La
Torre also. Well, if that's the case, even Matt Turner over Zach Steffen. I prefer Steffen, but if that's the case, that would make sense. So the problem
also, Leggett has been benched by Galaxy many times this year, for example. So it's not like he's necessarily getting regular playing time either.
So what we're trying to say here is the inconsistency of a lot of the things that Greg says, right?
Yes.
It's kind of like he'll say something on the interview that we even agree with. Like, yes, playing every week is better than not playing. That's for sure. Perform. But he goes ahead and does whatever he wants, right?
Yeah.
So
definitely. All right, let's do the player ratings, and this is going to be important, and there's going to be room for nuance, and I'm sure there's going to be lots of disagreements here. But let's start with Zach Steffen, and maybe this is a good place to talk about the goal. Some people will say Steffen should have done better with that. Now, what are your thoughts?
No, I don't. I think that was a much tougher shot than many think then. Not just on precision, but on strength, how hard Mikel Antonio hit it. We can get into discussion. Matt Turner would have saved that. Okay, maybe he would have saved it, maybe not. It's not a goal that you can say he failed. That's my point. You can't say it was a mistake from Zach Steffen. That's what I thought about it.
See, I'm not a goalkeeping expert, but I feel like if that dips into the top hand corner, then you can't fault Steffen. But that dipped right into near to the middle, maybe about a third to the right of the middle. I think he could have saved it. I thought maybe he was sleeping. Now, I'm not a goalkeeping expert, and maybe somebody who is a goalkeeper can tell me, because I never played goalkeeper, if I'm wrong, and I'm happy to admit that. But just from my point of view, I thought he was maybe sound asleep, didn't think Antonio would shoot from there. And I think a good goalkeeper or a better goalkeeper would have tipped that one over the bar. But I'm happy to be wrong on that.
I also would prefer a goalkeeping expert. From my eye of coaching youth and playing soccer in the field, it looked like an absolute brilliant shot, very hard hit and well put. I personally don't blame Zach Steffen for that goal. I don't.
Okay.
But yeah, I think that is the type of thing. And yes, there's certain aspects of the game that when you look into it, someone that played the position can definitely have a better insight on it. And if there's a goalkeeper in the chat, even if you didn't play professionally, but you played in a decent high level, probably have a better I personally don't blame
I'd love to hear somebody's take who's been a goalkeeper at all, just to hear what you think. But I'm going to give, other than that, I didn't think he was to fault. Oh no, there was a moment in the second half where he came off his line where
Antonio almost scored.
Two guys with him. He did not need to come off his line. there, and that's gonna ding his performance. Other than that, I thought he was fine. So I'm gonna give him 5 because he made a few saves. He didn't have any spectacular saves to make. Um, he made himself very big on that Bobby de Cordova raid chance that went over the bar, which I thought actually put him off a little. But I think those were 2 mistakes, or at least 1.5 mistakes, I'm going to call it, and I'm going to give him a 5.
That play, I want to give big credit to Stefan there too, because it was unexpected that Anthony Robinson hit that ball right there, assisting his teammate, by the way. I think he thought he was playing with Bobby Reed again. But he came up big, and I think that was one of the reasons why Bobby Reed missed it, trying to put it out stuff. So I don't blame Stefan for the goal. So I'm going to give him actually a 6 out of 10. I thought he was above average when required. There was that one mistake on the Antonio one. That is true. Luckily for us, it didn't lead to a goal. I'll give him above average. I think he was a 6.
All right. Let's go to DeAndre Yedlin. You start on Yedlin.
So I thought he was just Yedlin, right? His crossing is not good. It never is. He hustles a lot. He bodies people. He fights a lot. On the ball in the build-up when he was there, because they were a little bit high up the field, but when he was there, doesn't offer much. But he wasn't horrible. I think Yedlin was just a 5. He was just average.
Yeah.
It was just because of his standards, okay? If it was a Serginho Dest with a performance like that, I would have said it was a little bit. But because it's I'm just going to give him a 5 right there. I thought he was average throughout the game.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 5 as well. He is who he is at this point. He'll occasionally do something good, but at best, he's a speed merchant with limited technical ability. That's how I see Yedlin. Deadly Brain, before we go further, as a goalkeeper, I did think he was sleeping on his positioning. He wasn't centered with the ball, and with better positioning, could have grazed it over the bar at least. Okay, well, it's good to get a different perspective on this. And I'll watch it again tomorrow, and I might have a different take, but I still think he could have done better. Anthony Robinson, I'm going to give that guy a 2. It was a terrible game from Anthony on both sides of the ball. The crossing was poor. The technique was poor. The defending was bad. He almost gifted a goal to Bobby de Cordova Raid with a terrible clearance that he allowed it to bobble off his knee. I'm giving him a 2.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 1. I'm going to be very harsh on him, right? And wow, look, I'm being harsh on Robinson. That doesn't play in MLS.
You're a European hater.
Yeah, I'm hating, but I can't give him a better than that. He literally gave Bobby Reed a goal. Bobby Reed lost that goal. That goal, he should have made it. He gave Reed a goal. His touch was terrible. Crossing wasn't good. Anthony Robinson is a lot better than that. And today it was just not as day. And defense also wasn't that great at all. So even there was a play I saw that Bailey was just dancing in front of him. It was just ridiculous. A 1 for Robinson today, Anthony Robinson, because he plays in MLS. That's the only reason.
Yeah.
Okay, he doesn't play in MLS, by the way, guys. Before someone cuts that and says, "Oh, he said Anthony Robinson," he doesn't play in MLS.
Exactly. Walker Zimmerman. You go first on Zimmer.
So Zimmerman, interesting in this game here. He was very bad on the ball. Distribution, very bad. I don't think he barely hit a pass, if I'm going to be honest. I need to check the stats, but I think the long balls, all of them were wrong, and the short ones weren't great either. But he was very good on the air for pretty much all the game. He was good on tackles as well. Sometimes I thought he was a little bit off position at times where Richards had to drop back to cover for him. But defensively, I don't have much criticism on Zimmerman except for the goal, which was a legitimate goal.
Yeah.
It's a tricky one to rate Zimmerman because he didn't have a bad game as a defender. He had a bad game as a distributor, but there was that. So I would give him above a 5 because of the overall game. But that mistake, even though the goal was disallowed, it can't go untalked. I think I'm going to give him a 5. I thought he was average because of that.
Yeah. Let me ask you this, though. If the referee allows that goal, does that change your rating of Zimmerman?
I think it would have, because it would have been the game-losing goal. And that's one thing Zimmerman is good at, is in the air. I have no doubt about that. He is good. So I don't expect him to make that mistake. And It was a mistake. He was in front of the Jamaican player. He should have won that header.
Yeah. And if your job is to be consistent defensively and then you concede a goal like that, then you haven't done your job. That's just the truth for me. So I'm going to give Zimmerman a 4.5 because I agree with everything you have said. But we were one referee decision making away from that being a loss and that being on Zimmerman for that goal. So I can't give him a 5. That would be an average performance. And from a distribution standpoint, I think we saw the same thing. We saw the same thing with Zimmerman. Let's talk about Chris Richards. I thought Richards was better than Zimmerman. I don't think he was as active with his passing. I would want him to be better with in terms of more risky with his passing. But he played it largely very safe. Oftentimes his passes went to Zim, who then made a long ball, or he made his pass out wide to Anthony Robinson, but he didn't break lines with his passing. He also, on that Bobby Cordova raid chance, Richards was marking him. And I think that as it bobbles off of Robinson's knee, Richards thinks he's clearing it, and he just sort of relaxes for half a second, and that allows Bobby Raid to pull off of him and get that chance. But other than that, I don't remember him doing anything wrong defensively. In fact, I thought he was pretty clean. Are there any other moments that I missed that you remember?
He did cover for Zimmerman a few times. I think Zimmerman was also going high up a little bit more because I think Greg probably instructed Zimmerman was our ball-winning defender in headers, right, in the air.
Right.
So sometimes Zimmerman would step up, and Richards did a good job covering for him. So I think they worked well in that sense because Zimmerman is better in the air, so he got it done there. There was the Robinson mistake. It was 90% on Robinson, but yes, Richards needs to be aware that his teammates could make mistakes, and he has to be alert to clean it up. That's the job of a center back. So that is a little bit on Richards.
Yeah.
Besides that, he wasn't as active on the ball as I would want him to be. Zimmerman was more on the ball, which was odd because Richards is more technical on the ball and better with both feet. Provides a little more on that. I'm also going to give Richards a 5. I'm going to give him a 5. I thought that could have led to a goal, the Bobby Reed one, the lack of awareness, but it didn't lead to a goal. Same thing I said about Zimmerman, didn't lead, so he can't. But overall, an average performance from Richard. Can't blame. Actually,
go ahead.
Actually, I'm going to give him a 6, a little bit above Zimmerman, because Zimmerman's mistake there was a goal. His mistake was because of Robinson's mistake.
That's the thing. Yeah. That play is 90% on Robinson and 10% on Richards. Zimmerman's play is 100% on Richards. I mean, on Zimmerman.
I'm giving him a 6. Richards a 6 today.
Yeah, I'm going to give him a 6 as well. He had to, and if that mistake is gone, I would have given Richards a 9. I thought he was pretty good otherwise, or maybe 8, because I wanted him to be more risky with his passing, specifically with his line-breaking passing. Let's move forward. Tyler Adams. For me, uncharacteristically bad game from Tyler Adams today. But I want to hear your thoughts.
So first, the Jamaican goal, I do blame on Tyler Adams. Like we talked about Zach Steffen, I personally don't think Steffen could have done much in that goal. I think if the goalkeeper made that save, it would have been one of those brilliant saves. Tyler wasn't good, and the goal's on him. And we complain about Zimmerman allowing a goal that wasn't counted. Tyler actually allowed a goal. And honestly, on a player that it was the one player that if we had to say, Bailey as well, but there was one player, like, guys, don't give him much time and space. El Salvador gave him time and space once in 10 minutes, and he scored. And that's Antonio. And we gave him, and it happened. And along the game, Tyler wasn't very good on the ball, surprisingly, today.
Oftentimes his passes would be just behind the target that he was passing to. So like there was one very obvious one in the first half where he goes out wide to Anthony Robinson, and a good pass goes just in front of him so that he can take a touch into space and go forward. But Robinson actually had to adjust his position and drop back to receive the pass. I don't think that's good. El Salvador
scored. Yes. The first minute.
Okay, come on, El Salvador.
Yes.
Come on.
That is very important for us.
That's huge for us. Let's see if they can hold on to it. Is Mexico started?
No, Mexico's at 9. So there's an hour still. Yeah.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So you can watch the first half of this game and then go watch Mexico. Hugo Perez doing for the U.S.
Yeah, maybe he'll rescue the U.S. All right, let me just turn on that game so I can
But
see
yeah,
it.
in
And we'll
regards to
finish.
Tyler, I don't really see Tyler play poorly for the U.S., but today he played poorly. I'm gonna
Yeah.
give Tyler a 3 out of 10.
Yeah. I'm going to give him a 4 because I still think he did a lot of cleaning up. But that goal dinged him and his passing was not good. I'm going to give him worse than average 4 for Tyler. Let's move to Musa. Musa, for me, was very good on the ball, but was sluggish defensively, right? Was not pressing, oftentimes wasn't dropping back, but still looked like one of the most creative players on the team, which is what you want from a dual 8. Yeah, I just didn't think he was good without the ball today.
Yeah, Musa's problem today was something I don't know if you remember. I said this all the way back in March, I think, when we played the friendlies. I said Musa has some games that he kind of like turns off his work rate on defense. And today was one of those days. And I said this in March, and then last game, people were calling me out saying tactical question his work rate. I was like, yeah, Mexico, I didn't really see him turn off. Could be the age, so we're gonna see inconsistencies, but it kind of reminded me of the friendlies back in March, where when he's on the ball, he looks good because
Yeah,
he's very technical, very good in distribution, carries the ball very well, and uses his
yeah,
body very well. But he was like turning off from the game a little bit, and the work rate didn't seem the same
yeah.
for whatever reason.
And he's 18 years old, right? He's going to be 19 this month. So hopefully he improves that side of his game. I'm going to give him a 5 because I still thought he was creative on the ball and looked like one of our more dangerous midfielders, oftentimes taking players out of the game on the dribble, and his passing was mostly okay. But that work rate suffered, and so I can't give him better than a 5.
I'll go with the same.
Yeah.
Just average wasn't horrible, but he's better than that.
Let's talk Gianluca Busio. First start for him in a competitive, CONCACAF game, or rather qualifying game. He was timid. He wasn't terrible. When he had the ball, I thought he mostly made the right pass. I thought he got ran over defensively a few times, got little brothered by a Jamaican midfield. And that's what I was looking for from Busio is, can he handle the physicality of this game? I don't think he was terrible. Like, he wasn't Anthony Robinson levels, but I thought he was a passenger in the sense that when he got the ball, his passes oftentimes were not incisive enough. They were safe and easy. And defensively, he tried, but was often little brothered in midfield. So that's my assessment. Although I did like his set pieces. His deliveries on set pieces I thought were pretty good.
So I thought overall in the game, Busio in the first half, I thought he was better in the second half too. Busio, he looked a little bit better in the second half. Very average throughout the game. He wasn't terrible, no big mistake. Almost had a very nice goal off a shot that even flicked through the top of the net. It was a
Yeah,
very nice
but
shot from.
almost is not a goal.
No, it's not a goal, but it was a nice play, right? Performances are based off that, right? Weah had a couple good moments as well, along with the goal. The set pieces were fine. I'm going to actually give Busio a 6 for this one. I'm going to give him above average game because I thought he was average with that good moment. With set pieces, he looked better than before. Also, did you notice how sometimes on the build-up, he would shift with Adams and he would drop as a regista to try to build up?
Yeah.
I like that initiative too. It wasn't perfect. It wasn't really ideal, but it's something I'd like to see more often worked on. And maybe because Adams as an 8 is not really
No.
what we
That's the
want. But
thing. You see that Busio has that ability on the ball, but I just don't think he's like, I'm going to grab this game by the neck, the way that we see from a Musa or Weston McKennie. And that's still his weakness. Hopefully he can improve on it. Remember, he's older than Musa. Busio's 20 or 21 now,
he's 19,
right?
right? Busio's 19.
Was he 19? Okay,
He's
but he's still
19.
older than Musa then. And that's an area of his game he's going to have to improve on. I'm going to give him a 5. I just can't give him a 6 because I don't think he impacted the game like he should have.
I thought him and Musa were pretty much the same. I just gave him an overall game. I just gave him an extra point right there because set pieces looked better than previous games. Got closer to score a goal than Musa, so I guess that's a bonus.
Yeah.
Even though Musa set up that kick, Musa was the one that set it up. He drove through
On the
traffic.
Weah shot.
Yeah,
Yeah.
no, on the Busio shot. It was Musa.
Oh, it was Weah who set it up. Yeah.
Was it Way or Musa?
Maybe it was Musa. I don't remember.
I think it was Yunus Musa.
I don't remember, but it was outside the box. It was a good effort, but like for me, overall, what he did on the ball was not good enough. So I'm going to give him a 5 for Busio. Let's talk Tim Weah, man. I think Weah is the only guy that's going to get a good rating from me today. Not only for the goal, but every time he got on the ball, he looked lively. He looked like he could beat his man on the dribble and put in a cross. He was dangerous. His decision-making was largely good. I'm going to give Weah an 8.5.
I'm gonna give Way an 8. Pretty much the same thing. Essentially
Yeah,
the same thing. Scored a goal, was a nice goal, nice finish. He looked dangerous also on the wing. I don't know why he was subbed off. Some people were saying that he was limping. I didn't see it.
I
Maybe
didn't see that. I really didn't see that.
we'll see what Greg will say. Our best player pretty much throughout the
Yeah.
game. I thought Way was pretty good.
Yeah, for sure. And real quick, back to the midfielders, guys. This is where Luca De La Torre would have been so good in this game to have, because he does both the defensive work and he's so good on the ball. But let's move to Brendan Aronson. Brendan Aronson, dude, cannot beat his guy on the dribble. Have you noticed, like, in these last couple of games? It's just not his game. He works hard. He presses well. His passing is generally good. You know he has strong technique. But he's not a threat 1v1 the way that Weah or Pulisic is, you know? And today I thought he was busy and industrious without ever really being incisive or penetrating. He didn't create much from his position. And I thought we should have pulled him off, not Weah. You know, I also thought he got little brothered a lot by the Jamaican players. He's a scrawny kid, you know, and he still gets little brothered in a physical battle. So I'm going to give Aronson a 4. I don't think he was great today.
Yeah, I'm be a little bit harsher. I'm gonna give him a 3. He was put in the fight. He always brings the fight in him. Works overly hard. Is good on the ball usually, but today he didn't offer much at all besides effort, which is, again, what I'm going to say is I'm giving him credit for effort, but effort is the bare minimum, right? We want everyone to put in all the effort, but Brendan usually puts his body at risk for the team, everything he can do, and I want to praise him for that, but the performance itself wasn't good from Brendan. I'm giving him a 3 today.
Okay. Ricardo Pepi, involved with the goal, you know, helped to sort of in this sort of build up to the goal, but other than that, offered very, very little on the day. Where do you put Ricardo Pepi?
Same as Brendan. I'll give him a 3, and his performance wasn't good. And yes, he did do the 1-2 with Weah, but again, then Weah had to do pretty much all the rest of the work for the goal.
Yeah.
Credit for him because that was a good layoff. If he's not technical enough, it would have been a heavy touch, and Weah wouldn't be able to get the ball. But yeah, it wasn't a good performance by Pepi. Still very high on him. He's still 18. We knew these ups and downs were going to happen. We couldn't expect him to stay as hot as he was the first few games he played. He'll bounce back. Back, but it wasn't a good day from Pepi.
No. And that's, again, guys, with 18-year-olds, you have to understand there's going to be variance of performance. You know, same goes for Musa, right, who's also 18. Just keep that in mind. Yeah, I'm with you. I'm going to give Pepi a 3, nothing more. As far as the subs go, the only 2 subs I'm going to talk about are Acosta and Pulisic, because the other guys came in too. Oh, no, I'm going to talk about Areola too. Let's start with Pulisic. Pulisic came on and did exactly what Pulisic does. He threatens on the dribble, right? Wins free kicks on the dribble. But ultimately not a lot of end product. I thought the free kick chances that he did have, he didn't serve very well. I want to give him a 5 because he did what Pulisic does without really increasing our chances of getting a goal that much from what I saw.
Same. He was able to draw, I think, 2 or 3 dangerous fouls, but yeah, there wasn't much more. And it wasn't because of lack of minutes. He did get a decent amount of minutes. It was just didn't really have much of an impact in this game.
And look, he's still not fully fit. I think that's very evident. For me, he needs to go back to Chelsea. He needs to get into a rhythm, recover 90-minute fitness, start playing again, and hopefully both him and Gio in January are fully fit because we're going to need them, right? Let's talk about Kellen Acosta. Acosta did exactly what I think. What's weird to me is Acosta was brought on for an 8. Like, he played as a dual 8 because Adams was still on the field. That's not his game. He's not a dual 8. If you're going to use him, he should be a backup to Tyler Adams. But I think the reason that Greg brought him on is he wanted to protect a draw. Now, when you're trying to protect a draw in the 60th minute, that seems very shaky to me. If you brought him on to create, that's not his game. Acosta is not a creator, never has been. So, but he did exactly what Acosta does. Just try to run around the midfield, try to protect the back line, win challenges without really being effective at it. You know what I mean? I guess I don't remember anything that stood out from Acosta in either a good or a bad way, if that makes sense. I think he was very much the mediocre Acosta. I'm going to give him a 5.
I'm just gonna give him a 4 because he didn't offer anything. Like you come off the bench, you need to offer something.
That is true. No, that's fair. You're supposed to bring something different, and
He
he
didn't
did.
offer anything besides like even like Brendan Harrison didn't offer much today. Actually, I'm gonna give him a 3, the same as Brendan right there, because like what did Acosta do?
Nothing.
Yeah,
Nothing.
Pulisic like wasn't overly effective on the minutes, but Pulisic drew fouls, got the ball, tried to do play. Acosta, I didn't see him do much on defense.
Yeah.
Let me give him a 3.
Yeah. I'll give him a 4, but I'm not going to give him better than that. Paul Arriola was the next sub, and he came on with Jesus Ferreira, right? They both came on at the same time. I thought Ferreira did not get any service, so I don't
No.
really want to comment on him. But Paul Arriola actually had opportunities to change the game. On 2 different occasions, he got the ball with space in front of him to run into, and instead was unable to do so. I'm going to give him a 3 also. Just killed attacks as Paul Arriola does. Now, was he asked to come on and defend? I don't know. But if you're a winger, if you're an attacking, a wide forward, your job should be to create, and he didn't. And he actually stymied or handicapped opportunities to create.
Yeah, Ferreira is hard to judge because he didn't get service. We can't say he played poorly or badly. And again, he played as a 9. So unfortunately, when you're a 9 and you're in limited minutes, sometimes you won't get any service, and then you're just a ghost in the game of
Yeah.
no fault of your own. Poriola offered absolutely nothing again.
No. Again.
He offered nothing again. And honestly, he even killed the quick fast. So we got lucky that that goal was disallowed. Zach Steffen quickly connects a long ball to Ariola. If I'm not mistaken, that was the same play. He quickly connects to Ariola, and where's the verticality? That's where the verticality comes in, and you go towards the goal, or at least
take
go
that
towards
touch into space. So when it comes over the top, you take that touch into space in front of you, and you run at the goal. But instead, he took a poor touch, which allowed Jamaica to cover him again, and then he just dribbled away from pressure into the sideline.
And then besides that, he didn't do anything else.
No, it's not like he was out there defending for his life either. So
it just gets to a point where again, it's the type of player that doesn't like. We need to cut the crap on he stretches the back, making it up, right? Tim Weah can stretch the back line. Many players can do that. Brendan Harrison can do that.
Conrad can do that.
He doesn't offer much. So sorry, if with the U.S. men's national team standards nowadays, if you can't really do anything on the ball, I'm sorry, it's not the team for you. And honestly, it's not like I think he has much of a space in the U.S. men's national team anymore, like Jordan Morris. But I'm kind of happy Morris is back because then maybe Morris will take that speed. And Morris is a better player.
Yeah.
But overall, we could have had Conrad there, which we've seen him come off the bench for Marseille. And yes, Conrad is not finished product, right? Still needs to get better on the final third on crossing, finishing. But every time Conrad comes off the bench, he's dangerous, gets fouls. He's a guy that you need to keep an eye on. On that fast break, could have drew a foul, whatever it is. I hope it was the last we've seen from Ariola for a while, at least in World Cup qualifying, but I don't think it is.
I don't think so. I think we'll see him lots more, probably in December against Bosnia. Captain Jamaica Antonio. Hey, JJD. JD, how are you, man? You must be happy with a draw. A draw against the U.S. is a good result, although you probably wish you got that win. Arriola is really just a fullback playing winger. I don't even think he's a fullback. Fullbacks have to have technique too. Fullbacks have to be able to create, to overlap, to give you end product, like the way Serginho Dest does.
He's an MLS winger, not even the best one. Not even the best one.
No, there are lots of
Yes.
Hang on. There are better MLS.
Yes, not even the best one.
Oh, I thought you said maybe the best
one.
No,
not even the best MLS winger.
Oh,
there's better MLS wingers.
Oh, boy. Whew. Well, guys. Oh, yeah, now we have Greg Berhalter to rate. And from the positive point of view, I think he got the lineup right. But also, let's be honest, that was the obvious lineup, right? If you're going to go from the players you had, that was the only right lineup. I can give him credit for it, but that should be the expectation, not something you get praised for. Playing your best players when you're played 700,000 dollars a year should be the expectation. Everybody else in the fan base can see it too. So I'll give him credit for that. But I thought the game was poorly managed, in terms of the subs, especially, and in terms of, how he reacted to things. I didn't think he did a good job. I also think we didn't have the right mentality on the day. And while I don't think that was all on Greg, I think that's largely on the players. I think part of that was on him. So I'm going to give Greg a 4.
I'll be a tiny bit more generous to Greg. I'll give him a 5. I'll just say average. Yes, the thing is, the standard for Greg, because of the last camps, became very low. And as what you said, usually picking the best lineup is just the expectation. We've grown accustomed to not be with that way with Greg. We've grown accustomed that that's not the norm. So the fact that he picked the lineup twice in a row in the best way possible, with the roster he had, which he should have brought in different players, but that's a different topic. I'll give him a 5 today. I was upset he played Ariola. The Weah sub also wasn't ideal, unless Weah was injured, but I didn't see that.
No.
Also positive is Leggett got 0 minutes this camp.
As did Roldan.
So there's positives there. I'll give him a 5 today, Greg. Average. Definitely not the one in fault, but definitely not innocent as well.
No, for sure. Definitely responsible. Let's say everyone is healthy in January. Where does Reyna fit in? For me, as one of the duo 8s next to Weston McKennie. I really believe that. I think Musa can be a good solution off the bench right now. And a great one, right? But then you have Tim Weah and Christian Pulisic on the wings. You have Weston McKennie and Gio Reyna as the duo 8s and Tyler Adams behind them. That's how I would do it.
Just to add to some comments in the chat, it's like, how can you say Greg was average today? That's insanity. What was so bad about him today that we need to like completely put him down? He put the lineup that we wanted and expected, and if anyone says otherwise, you're probably lying at this point, besides Scally. But let's be honest, that's not would have completely changed the game.
No.
I can't blame Greg for Tyler Adams not doing the right job on Antonio for one moment and Antonio hitting a banger.
No. But dude, the fact that we didn't have good solutions off the bench is on Greg, because he made
that is why he doesn't get a good rating. Because look, a coach, you can lose a game and a coach get a good rating. He can put his best players, put in the subs, and the team loses, and then you can't blame on him. So Greg does have blame because of his roster selection. But overall today, it was just average. He didn't do a good job, and he wasn't horrendous.
Also, when the game was in balance at 1-1, he could have gone for the win. He could have played 2 up top. He could have brought Tim Weah to play with Pepe up top and brought on Pulisic maybe for, you know what I mean? Like he played safe and he played for the draw, which is not the end of the world, but I expect better. If we're going away in CONCACAF, especially if it's not Mexico or Canada, we should be looking to win those games and setting that intention with the way we use substitutes. So,
I disagree with anyone that says he was good. He wasn't good. I disagree with that. Like, some people might say he was good because he put the right line. No, he wasn't good.
That's the bare minimum, right?
Yes.
To put the right lineup. I'm sorry. That we praise it because we're not used to it from Greg, but that should be the expectation from your coach, to play the best players in their best positions. Wish Reyna and Dest were healthy. Yeah, I'm with you, but we need to be able to use our depth, right?
Before we end too, Pete, can I say one thing about Greg? Notice how Greg, he's not reluctant to try different formations, but Greg has zero tactical flexibility. He doesn't have another effective formation. He doesn't change the formation in the game in an effective way. Sometimes changing formation can change a game. Again, today wasn't working for a good moment of the game. Still doesn't change. Doesn't play with 2 strikers. Take out Pepe. Put Jesus Ferreira and Tim Weah maybe up top. Try something like that. Or
so now you go 3-5-2. You know,
he doesn't have that. That's one thing Greg doesn't have. High quality coaches do know how to do that throughout a game and work on that. He doesn't have that.
Yeah,
he might never have it. No, he never.
Yeah, no, you're right. Last one, and then we're going to end it because we're going on an hour and a half here. Wish the USMNT won, but I'm okay with a draw because this game could have gone much worse for us. Jamaica's front 3 looked scary. I think Antonio was the only one who looked scary to me, to be honest. The other 2 were pretty average, I thought. But yeah, it's like what we said, guys. It's not the end of the world. We'll take the draw. We got the bare minimum amount of points in this window to be successful. But I think we could have done better in this game. And I think we can and should expect better, both from the players themselves and from Greg. But the sky is not falling. Hopefully El Salvador gets the win that we need against Panama, and we can get a little bit of breathing room there. So I'll let you guys go watch the Mexico-Canada game. What is it still 1-0, by the way, to El Salvador?
1-0 Salvador, 22 minutes in.
All right. Fingers crossed. Everybody.
A draw is fine. A draw is fine too.
Yeah, we'll take a draw too. Thanks for watching, everyone. Thanks for coming to hang with us. I know it's not really high energy today. The game makes it a little hard to like get either too excited or to be too upset. It's somewhere in between. This happens. Hopefully 2022 will have better performances and better rosters and better other things. But yeah, a little cap going forward, guys. Tack is having surgery tomorrow, right, dude?
Friday.
Oh, it's on Friday. Okay, so send good juju, send him good vibes, positivity, whatever you want. Send it Tack's way for him and for Tactical Dog, and we'll see you guys soon. Someone's saying that Musa had strep throat. That explains a lot for me.
Okay.
You know,
I didn't know that.
That explains. If he has strep throat is nasty, dude.
Yeah.
That would explain a lot. All right, guys. Thanks for watching. Talk to you soon.